Monday morning, July 13, 2026, Biddeford, Maine. A quiet residential street. Just after 7:15 a.m., a white Kia is circling an intersection slowly. Minutes later, federal immigration agents open fire, and a 26-year-old man is dead in his car. His name was Joan Sebastian Guerrero, also reported as Joan Sebastian Guerrero, a husband, a father to a 3-year-old girl. And now, the center of a story that's raising hard questions about how ICE operates in American neighborhoods. Guerrero was originally from Bucaramanga, a mid-sized city in northern Colombia. According to the Maine Immigrants' Rights Coalition, he was authorized to work in the U.S. and had been issued a Social Security number. A Department of Homeland Security spokesperson later said Guerrero had entered the country illegally in September 2023 and was granted a work permit in May 2025, adding that work authorization does not confer legal status. Neighbors describe him as a family man who worked 2 jobs to support his wife, or fiancée depending on the report, and their young daughter. A GoFundMe set up to support his family had raised more than $100,000 within a day. ICE confirmed Guerrero was shot while driving through a residential Biddeford neighborhood and that agents were executing a warrant, one that did not name Guerrero as the subject. Senator Angus King later said Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin confirmed directly to him that Guerrero was not the person agents were trying to locate that morning. Witness Daniel Boucher lived right on the corner where it happened. He told reporters he heard gunshots, ran to his window, and watched an ICE vehicle box in Guerrero's small sedan at the Pool and Hill Street intersection. He then ran downstairs and watched agents pull Guerrero from the car, bleeding heavily from the head. Boucher says he heard Guerrero say, "I tried to stop." He said he knew Guerrero was still conscious at that point because agents were telling him to calm down. Moments later, Boucher says he could no longer see any movement, which meant Guerrero had died. Boucher later said he approached the agent who fired the shots and told him he hoped he was satisfied with what he'd done. The agent's response, according to Boucher, was that Guerrero had tried to run him over.
I didn't witness the shooting, I witnessed the aftermath. And the car coming down and then being hit again by the ICE SUV and the victim being moved out, taken out of the vehicle, and I heard him say, "I tried to stop."
ICE agent got out, tried to open the door and had a difficult time, but eventually opened it and pulled the guy out. His face was bloody, his head was bloody.
I know that he was still cognizant because they told him to calm down, calm down. His girlfriend was across the street. I'll never forget that. She was hysterical and crying and sitting on the curb with an EMT and a police officer, I believe, and they walked her away from the scene.
When you say you'll never forget the images.
It's something that's horrific. You never forget that. You never forget the attitude of the ICE officers, too. And the ICE officer that shot him was in shock, and I talked to him.
And of course, I was emotional, and I just let him have it. And
I said, "Well, how can you, what do you think of what you did?" I made some, I don't remember exactly what I said. And he looked at me and said, well, he was going to run me over or something to that effect. And then he was being consoled by another ICE officer. He kind of had his head in his hands at some point, trying to talk to him, consoling him. The guy was in shock.
Why was it important for you to talk to us reporters here?
Because I feel somebody needs to know what a bystander saw, not what ICE tells you. Because too often ICE says things that are not true. And at least this is what I saw. Now, whether their version is different, that's up to them. That's what I saw.
There is no video of the shooting itself. Senator King says the agents involved were not wearing body cameras. Surveillance footage from a nearby pawn shop does show the car circling the intersection in the moments before, and agents pulling Guerrero from the vehicle afterward. Witnesses reported hearing between 5 and 7 gunshots. The car's windshield had at least 4 bullet holes. Here's where the story gets complicated. The initial explanation given to Senator King was that Guerrero was shot after weaponizing his vehicle, But in ICE's first official public statement, issued nearly 12 hours after the shooting, that specific claim wasn't mentioned. Instead, the agency said Guerrero attempted to flee the scene and that an officer discharged his weapon out of fear for public safety. That's a documented shift in the official account. Not an opinion, a fact multiple outlets and Maine's own congressional delegation have flagged directly. Representative Chelly Pingree said she'd heard, though not confirmed by DHS, that agents may have shot the wrong person entirely. This isn't an isolated incident. It's the second fatal ICE shooting in the U.S. in about a week, following the killing of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, a Mexican man with no criminal record, during a Houston, Texas work commute days earlier. DHS confirmed he also wasn't the target of that operation. Both cases reignited outrage over January's ICE-involved shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. Multiple outlets reported the officer involved in Guerrero's shooting was a newly sworn-in ICE officer, previously with the Department of Veterans Affairs Police since 2017. Law enforcement sources told CBS News that federal officials are now suspending most vehicle stops during immigration enforcement operations while the incident is reviewed. Internationally, outgoing Colombian President Gustavo Petro called Guerrero's death murder at the hands of the U.S. government and demanded accountability from Washington. In Maine, Governor Janet Mills has publicly called on Congress to rein in ICE, writing that this violence has to end before more families are affected. So where does that leave us? Was this a split-second safety call by an agent who believed his life, or the public's, was at risk? Or is it a symptom of a bigger problem? Undertrained agents, no body cameras, and a warrant that wasn't even for the man who ended up dead. Why did the official explanation change within half a day? Was that an honest correction, or something else? Should ICE agents be required to wear body cameras during enforcement operations, especially when so much of what the public knows depends entirely on which side is talking? With multiple fatal ICE shootings happening within months of each other this year, is this a pattern that needs independent oversight, or are these isolated incidents getting outsized attention? And when someone who wasn't even the target of an operation ends up dead, who is actually accountable for that? We're not here to tell you the answer. We want to know what you think. Drop your take in the comments. We'll be reading.